In 1973, inside a private Los Angeles gym, Muhammad Ali watched a man half his size do something he later described as not human. It lasted 4 seconds. No cameras, no media, just witnesses. What Ali saw that afternoon didn't make headlines, but it stayed with him for the rest of his life. This is what happened when the greatest boxer alive met a man who didn't need to throw a punch to prove he was untouchable. Los Angeles, 1973. The city is a strange intersection of old Hollywood glamour and the quiet hum of underground martial arts culture. Dojos are tucked between studio lots. Actors train in back rooms. Fighters meet in private gyms where no cameras are allowed. This is where legends are built, not on stages but in silence. On a Tuesday afternoon in late spring, a small group gathers inside a nondescript gym in Culver City. The space is modest. Wooden floors, heavy bags hanging motionless, a few benches along the walls. No spectators, no press, just practitioners. Among them is Jun Rhee, martial artist, instructor, and mutual friend to 2 men who have never formally met, but whose names carry weight in entirely different worlds. One is Muhammad Ali, the other is Bruce Lee. Ali arrives without fanfare. No entourage, no photographers. He's dressed casually, tracksuit, sneakers, sunglasses pushed up onto his forehead. He's at the height of his fame, but here in this room, he's just another guest. He's been told there's a demonstration happening. Something worth seeing. Jun Rhee had been persistent but vague. "You should come," Rhee had said. "You'll understand when you see it." Ali had agreed out of curiosity more than interest. He respects martial arts, but he's a boxer. His world is the ring. 3-minute rounds, referees, rules. He's seen discipline before. He's lived it. But this, he's not sure what this is yet. Bruce Lee is already present when Ali walks in. He's smaller than expected, lean, compact. His movements are economical, almost invisible. He's stretching near the far wall, speaking quietly with another instructor. He doesn't look up when Ali enters. No introduction is necessary. Everyone in the room knows who everyone else is. Ali nods at Jun Rhee, glances around the space, and takes a seat on one of the benches. He leans back, arms folded, watching. The session begins informally. A few warm-up drills, light sparring between students. Jun Rhee walks the room, correcting stances, adjusting angles. The energy is calm. Professional, there's no showmanship here. Ali watches with the eye of someone who understands movement. He tracks footwork, weight distribution, timing. He's seen fighters before, thousands of them. He knows what speed looks like, what power looks like. But something about the way Bruce Lee moves catches his attention. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, but it's different. Lee steps onto the mat to demonstrate a concept to one of the students. He doesn't announce it, doesn't make eye contact with the audience. He simply moves, a single motion, fluid and controlled, ending in a stance that looks effortless. Ali shifts forward slightly on the bench. Jun Rhee notices. He smiles, but says nothing. A few minutes pass, the session continues. Then, during a break, Ali speaks. His voice carries across the room, not aggressive, but direct. "Can I ask you something?" Bruce Lee turns. Their eyes meet for the first time. "Of course," Lee says. His voice is calm, respectful. Ali stands, walking slowly toward the center of the mat. "Speed or power?" Ali says. "What wins?" It's not a challenge. It's a genuine question. Ali is a man who has built a career on both. He wants to know what this smaller man, this philosopher in fighter's clothing, believes. Lee doesn't answer immediately. He considers the question. Then he looks at Ali and says something that changes the entire room. "Would you like me to show you?" The air goes still. Ali nods. "Yeah," he says. "Show me." There are moments in history where 2 philosophies meet, not in conflict, but in conversation. This is one of them. Bruce Lee steps onto the center of the mat. He doesn't ask for space. The room simply gives it to him. Students move to the edges. Jun Rhee folds his arms, watching. Ali remains standing, arms loose at his sides. No one speaks. Lee's posture is relaxed. His hands rest naturally. His breathing is even. He looks at Ali, not as a challenge, but as an equal. 2 masters in different languages about to exchange ideas without words, speed and power. Lee begins, his voice calm, are not separate. They're expressions of the same principle. Ali listens. He's heard philosophy before. He's a man who talks, who performs, who turns language into art, but he's also someone who respects substance. And Lee's tone carries no arrogance, only certainty. Most fighters, Lee continues, whose power to compensate for poor timing. They rely on force because they haven't mastered efficiency. Ali tilts his head slightly. He's intrigued. You're saying power's a weakness? Ali asks. I'm saying, Lee replies, that power without precision is wasted energy. Speed without structure is chaos. But when both exist in the same moment, he pauses. That's when something becomes unstoppable. Ali nods slowly. He understands this. He's built his entire career on timing, on reading opponents, on being faster than men twice his size expect him to be. So show me, Ali says again. This time it's quieter, more serious. Lee gestures toward one of the heavy bags hanging nearby. Watch the bag, he says. Ali's eyes shift. The bag is still. Hanging, waiting, Lee moves, not toward the bag, just a single step to the side. A shift in weight. His right hand rises slightly, fingers loose, and then nothing. The bag explodes, not violently, not dramatically, but with a sharp, sudden crack that echoes through the gym like a gunshot. The chain rattles. The bag swings hard to the right, then back, swaying in wide arcs. Ali blinks. He didn't see the strike. He saw Lee's hand move, and then the result. But the moment between, go on, do it again, Ali says. Lee doesn't hesitate. He resets. Same stance, same calm. This time Ali's eyes are locked on Lee's hand. He's watching for the tell. The wind up, the shift in the shoulders that every puncher has. Lee moves again. The bag cracks. Swings. Ali saw more this time, but not enough. The strike happened faster than his brain could process. He saw the beginning. He saw the end. But the middle vanished. One of the students exhales audibly. Another shifts his weight, uneasy. This isn't normal. This isn't something you train into someone. This is something else. Ali steps closer to the bag. He places a hand on it, steadying it. Then he looks back at Lee. How? Ali asks, not challenging, asking. Lee walks toward him. He stops a few feet away. You throw punches from your shoulders, Lee says. I throw from my center. You use muscle. I use structure. Your power comes from size. Mine comes from alignment. Ali's jaw tightens, not in anger, in focus. You're telling me, Ali says slowly, that if you hit me like that, I wouldn't see it coming. Lee holds his gaze. His expression doesn't change. No, Lee says quietly, you wouldn't. The room holds its breath. Ali doesn't move, doesn't speak. He's just heard something he's never heard before, a truth he can't argue with. There are demonstrations, and then there are revelations. What happens next takes 4 seconds. But it stays with every person in that room for the rest of their lives. Ali steps back from the heavy bag. His eyes are still on Lee, studying him now, the way a boxer studies an opponent before the first bell. But this isn't a fight. This is something stranger, something quieter. Lee doesn't move toward the bag again. Instead, he turns to face Ali directly. May I? Lee asks. It's a simple question, polite, but everyone in the room understands what he's asking. Ali hesitates, not out of fear, out of calculation. He's been hit before. He's taken punches from the hardest hitters in the world. Sonny Liston, Joe Frazier, George Foreman. Men who could break bones with a single blow. But this man in front of him, this quiet, controlled man, is offering something different. Not a punch, a principle. Ali nods. Yeah, he says. Show me. Lee gestures toward the center of the mat. Ali moves there, standing loose, hands at his sides. He's not in a fighting stance. He's not guarding. He's just present. Lee steps in front of him, close. Too close by boxing standards, within striking range, but his posture is neutral, non-threatening. His hands are open. Watch my hand, Lee says. Ali's eyes drop. Lee's right hand is raised slightly, fingers relaxed, hovering at chest level. It's not cocked back. There's no tension in the wrist. No coiling of the shoulder. It looks harmless. Lee's voice is calm, almost hypnotic. I'm going to move, he says. And you're going to try to see it. Ali's eyes narrow. He's locked in now. His body is still, but his mind is racing. He's reading Lee's posture, his weight distribution, the angle of his hips. Everything. Lee exhales, and then it happens. Ali's head snaps back slightly, not hard, not painful, but immediate. His hand flies up instinctively to his face, touching his cheek just below his eye. He freezes. The room is silent. Lee's hand is back at his side, open, relaxed, as if it never moved. Ali's eyes are wide, not in shock, in disbelief. "You," Ali starts, then stops. He touches his face again like he's confirming it happened. "You just—" He doesn't finish the sentence. One of the students takes a step forward, mouth open. June Ree's expression hasn't changed, but his eyes are sharp. He saw it. Barely. Ali's breathing has shifted, not panicked, but faster, deeper. He's processing. "Do it again," Ali says. Lee shakes his head gently. "You won't see it the second time either." "Do it again," Ali repeats, firmer now. Lee pauses, then nods. This time Ali's entire body is ready. His eyes are unblinking. His muscles are coiled, prepared to react. He's the fastest heavyweight in the world. If anyone can track this, it's him. Lee raises his hand again. Same position, same calm. He moves. Ali's head snaps back again, harder this time. His hand shoots up, but it's too late. Lee's already withdrawn. Gone, like smoke. Ali stumbles back half a step, not from force, from the sheer impossibility of what just happened. He stares at Lee. Lee stares back. Silent, unsmiling, not gloating, just waiting. Ali's voice, when it comes, is quieter than before. "How fast are you?" Lee's response is immediate. Fast enough that it doesn't matter. The room exhales. Ali's hands drop to his sides. He doesn't speak. He doesn't move. He just stands there, Muhammad Ali, the man who has never been silenced, completely without words. Pride is a strange thing. For some men, it's armor. For others, it's a cage. But for the truly great, pride is something that can be set aside when truth demands it. Muhammad Ali stands in the center of the mat, hand still resting against his cheek. His expression has changed. The confidence is still there. It never leaves, but something else has entered the room. Respect. He looks at Bruce Lee, then at his own hand, then back again. "Show me how you do that," Ali says. Not a request, not a demand, something in between. Lee steps closer. His movements are deliberate, unhurried. He raises his right hand again, but this time he holds it still. "Watch," Lee says. "Not my hand, my body." Ali shifts his focus. He's learning now. The boxer in him has given way to the student. Lee's feet adjust, barely. A fractional shift in weight from back to front. His hips rotate, but only slightly. His shoulder doesn't pull back. It doesn't telegraph. Instead, it compresses inward, like a spring being loaded without being drawn. "Everything moves together," Lee says. "The strike doesn't start in my hand, it starts here." He taps his abdomen. "Your center, your root. If you disconnect the hand from the body, you lose half your power and all your speed." Ali nods slowly. He's listening in a way he doesn't often listen. His hands move to his own hips, mimicking the motion. In boxing, Lee continues, you rotate from the waist to generate power, but you're still moving in stages: feet, hips, shoulders, fist. By the time the punch lands, your opponent has seen 3 separate motions. "Yeah," Ali says, "but it works." "It works." Lee agrees, because you're faster than your opponents expect. But what if you could remove the stages entirely? What if the motion was singular, one piece, one breath? Ali's jaw tightens. He's thinking. He throws a slow jab into the air, watching his own body as he moves. His footwork is flawless. His rotation is textbook, but he can see it now, the stages Lee is talking about. "The sequence. You're saying I'm too slow," Ali says. "No," Lee replies. "I'm saying you're too visible." The distinction lands. Ali throws another jab, slower this time, feeling each part of the motion. Then he stops mid-punch and looks at Lee. "How do I make it invisible?" Lee steps beside him. He places one hand on Ali's shoulder, the other on his hip. "You're pushing your punch," Lee says. "Don't push, release." Ali frowns. "Release. Your body is already loaded," Lee explains. "Every muscle, every joint, you're holding tension. When you punch, you're adding more. But tension slows you down. Instead, he presses lightly on Ali's shoulder, then lets go. Let the body do what it's already prepared to do. Stop controlling it. Trust it." Ali is silent for a long moment. Then he resets his stance. He breathes. His shoulders drop slightly. His fists unclench just a fraction. He throws a jab. It's faster, not Lee, fast. Not invisible, but faster than before. June Ree, watching from the side, nods once. He's seen it, the shift. The moment a fighter stops thinking and starts feeling, Ali throws another. then another. Each one sharper, cleaner. He stops, looks at his hands, then at Lee. "You just changed the way I see my own punch," Ali says quietly. Lee's expression doesn't change, but his eyes hold something: acknowledgement. Not pride, just recognition. "You were already fast," Lee says. "I just showed you where you were getting in your own way." Ali exhales. Long, slow. He doesn't say anything else. He doesn't need to. The lesson has landed. There are fights that end with a roar, and there are lessons that end with silence. The session continues for another 20 minutes, but the tone has shifted. Ali doesn't spar. He doesn't demonstrate. He watches. He asks questions. Technical ones. Specific ones. How do you train that kind of speed? How do you keep your body that relaxed under pressure? What happens if someone sees it coming? Lee answers each one, patiently, precisely. He doesn't perform again. He doesn't need to. The point has been made. By the time the session ends, the sun is lower in the sky. The gym has gone quiet. Students bow out one by one. Junri walks Ali toward the door, but Ali pauses. He turns back. Bruce Lee is near the far wall, wiping down his hands with a towel. He's not posturing, not waiting for acknowledgement. He's simply finishing his routine. Ali walks back over. Lee looks up. Their eyes meet. "Thank you," Ali says. It's not loud. It's not for anyone else to hear. Just 2 words. But they carry weight. Lee nods once. Anytime, Ali studies him for another beat. Then he extends his hand. Lee takes it. The handshake is firm, brief, respectful. No cameras capture it. No reporters write it down. No one outside that room will ever see this moment. But everyone inside it will remember. Ali leaves without another word. He steps into the California afternoon, sliding his sunglasses back on. He walks to his car, gets in, and drives away. He doesn't speak about it that night. Or the next day. In the weeks that follow, Ali trains differently. His sparring partners notice. He's experimenting, throwing punches from different angles, adjusting his timing. He doesn't explain why, but those close to him see the shift. One evening, during a private conversation with his trainer, Ali brings it up. "I met a guy," Ali says, "martial artist. Moves like nothing I've ever seen." His trainer asks, "Who?" "Bruce Lee," Ali says. There's a pause. "Then the movie guy." Ali shakes his head. "No, not the movie guy. The real thing." He doesn't elaborate. He doesn't need to. The respect in his voice says everything. Years later, long after Bruce Lee's death in 1973, Ali is asked in a rare interview about the greatest fighters he ever encountered. He lists the names you'd expect: Frazier, Foreman, Norton. Then he pauses. "There was this one man," Ali says, "wasn't a boxer, but he had something I'd never seen before. Made me realize that being the fastest in my world didn't mean I was the fastest, period." The interviewer presses, asks for a name. Ali smiles. But he doesn't give it. "Doesn't matter," Ali says. "He's gone now. But what he showed me, that stayed." The interview moves on. The moment passes. But those who know, those who were there, recognize the reference immediately. Ali never wrote about it, never spoke publicly in detail. The story stayed in the shadows, passed quietly between martial artists and boxing insiders. Some called it myth. Others called it legend. But the people who were in that gym, Junri, the students, the witnesses, they all tell the same story. Same details, same outcome. No exaggeration needed, because the truth was already impossible enough. Bruce Lee never spoke of it either. Not in interviews, not in his writings. He moved on, continued teaching, continued training. The encounter was just another moment in a life filled with them. But for Ali, it was something else. It was the day the greatest boxer in the world stood still and learned. Legends are not built in headlines. They're built in whispers. In the years following that afternoon in 1973, the story of what happened in that Los Angeles gym begins to spread, not through media, but through networks. Martial arts schools, private circles where fighters and instructors gather. At first it's vague, second-hand. "I heard Ali met Bruce Lee once. Someone told me Lee showed him something that blew his mind." There was a demonstration. No one knows exactly what happened, but then slowly details begin to emerge. Students who were present start talking quietly, carefully. They describe the speed, the precision, the look on Ali's face, the silence that followed. None of them exaggerate. They don't need to. The truth is strange enough. By the early 1980s, the story has taken root. Martial artists tell it to their students as a teaching moment, not about ego, but about mastery. About the difference between knowing your art and embodying it. Bruce Lee once demonstrated a strike so fast that Muhammad Ali couldn't see it, they say. And Ali, the fastest heavyweight in history, asked him to do it again. The story becomes a kind of cone, a riddle, a lesson without a moral spelled out. What does it mean when the best in one discipline meets the best in another and realizes the gap? What does it mean when pride gives way to curiosity? What does it mean when a master teaches without words? In 1992, nearly 2 decades after the encounter, a martial arts documentary crew tracks down Jun Rhee. They ask him about Bruce Lee, about his philosophy, his methods, and then, carefully, they ask about Ali. Rhee smiles. He's older now, grayer, but his eyes are sharp. That day, Rhee says, was the only time I ever saw Muhammad Ali speechless. The interviewer leans forward, asks for details. Rhee shakes his head. Some things don't need to be explained. You had to be there. The footage airs briefly. Most people ignore it. But in certain circles, it becomes confirmation. Proof that the story wasn't fabricated, that it happened. By the 2000s, the story has evolved. It's told in dojos across the world, in internet forums, in late-night conversations between fighters who respect history. Some versions are exaggerated. Some add details that weren't there. Others strip it down to the essentials, but the core remains the same. Ali Lee, a private gym, 4 seconds silence. In 2016, 3 years before his death, Muhammad Ali gives his final major interview. His speech is slower now, his body weakened by Parkinson's, but his mind is still there. Near the end, the interviewer asks, "What's the most humbling moment of your career?" Ali thinks for a long time. His hands rest on the arms of his chair. His breathing is steady. Finally, he speaks. "There was a man," Ali says softly, "taught me that being the greatest meant staying open, staying curious. He didn't have to beat me to teach me. He just had to show me something I didn't know was possible." The interviewer waits. Asks who? Ali's eyes shift. A faint smile crosses his face. Ali says, "I knew. That was enough." He doesn't say the name. He doesn't need to. Now, today, the story lives in the space between fact and myth. Not because it didn't happen, but because the people who witnessed it understood that some lessons are more powerful when they're not broadcast. Bruce Lee never needed the recognition. Muhammad Ali never needed to defend what happened, and the world slowly, quietly, learned what those 2 men already knew. That mastery isn't about being seen, it's about being undeniable, even in silence, especially in silence.